Golfing fans, welcome back to the channel. Brought to you in association with betting.co.uk. I'm your host Ginger Joe and I'm back with my weekly golf selections for you to take a look at. And we've got two really good events to turn our attentions to in this week's episode. On the PGA Tour, we've got the Memorial Tournament at Muirfield Village Golf Club. And then on the DP World Tour, we've got the Porsche European Open over in Hamburg, Germany. Two really solid events to get stuck into. And we're actually in search of a fifth winning week in a row. We managed to land Pablo Larrazabal last week at 55-1, and he was put up as my number one strongest selection as well. That's not the only good result we've had this year. We've had a 373-1 double. We managed to land the 66-1 1-2 in the PGA Championship. And we've actually landed the last four tour events in really good fashion as well. Three of which were my number one selection for the week as well. I'll always bring in my selections in strength order, and I've been really happy with the results so far. If you're new to my channel, just a little bit of a background regarding myself. I'm an ex-tour professional myself. I've had stints on the Europro Tour and the Challenge Tour as well. And I've started to use my playing knowledge by trying to find the right selections and picking the players that are most suited to the track and the events this week. I don't really like to go on previous form or course form too much. I more like to try and find those selections that I've got the tools in the bag to get the job done at these particular horses. And so far, it's gone very, very well indeed. Now, at the end of 2022, I actually trialled these selections in my group chat for about 3 or 4 months, and they were very profitable indeed. So come January this year, I decided to make those public, and we've just gone from strength to strength. If you've had £1 on all of my selections up until this point, you'd be 572 points in the profit. And all of my selections are completely free. They will remain completely free. The only thing I ask of you is to please do hit that subscribe button below this video. I really do appreciate everyone that's tuning in, giving me the support. And by clicking subscribe as well, you do get to come over and join my free group chat by using the link in the description below. Now, one more thing just to mention, in addition to those so far, I am actually going to start running a free bet competition every single week on this channel too. If you pick a selection in the DP World Tour this week and it is the highest selection out of all of the ones in the comments, you will win a £5 free bet for next week's event. But as I said, all I require from you, all I ask is please do hit that subscribe button below the video. Now, we're going to start off with the DP World Tour, where it heads to Hamburg in Germany for the Porsche European Open at Green Eagle Golf Club. 7,457 yards, and this is an absolute epic course. This is the toughest course in Germany, number one hardest course. It has been for the last 3 years, and you can expect loads of birdies, but loads of bogeys as well. This is a serious test of golf, and you won't you won't see the scoring too low this week. Now, starting off with my number one selection is going to be the Swedish Alexander Björk at 22-1. He's had a really good season so far without winning, but he's been playing some superb golf so far. He has got a DP World Tour victory to his name, but this was back in 2018 where he won the China Open, and he's now in search of title number 2. And you won't find many players as consistent as him on tour, particularly this year. In his 10 starts so far, he's only had one finish outside of the top 30, and he still managed to shoot 7 under the 4 rounds as well. His best finishes to date this year, he was second in the Razzle Keimer, and then he battled that up by finishing 4th in the Italian Open, and then he was also 4th in the Sudal Open as well. He's becoming a real standout player on the tour this year. The only thing he's missing is a recent tour win. I like him at this track. He's an all-round consistent sort of player. You're going to need a little bit of everything coming to this track. It's really difficult, and at 22-1, Alexander Björk is my number one selection. Number 2 is going to be Marcel Siem at 70-1. I really like watching Marcel as a player, very aggressive sort of player, and I was so close to making him my number one. He's really good with a putter, and he's becoming a bit of a regular of mine. It's fair to say, out of the home players from Germany, he's definitely my pick. I understand the angle with Yannick Paul. He's the highest ranked German player in the field and, in fact, in the world. But he's lost his way in the last few run-ins. And I think it's a bit of a poor angle to take a chance on him just because he's coming back to his homeland. I just think that he's going to have a little bit of a hard time this week. He's a very good iron player, Yannick Paul, but I much prefer Marcel Siem. He's in the form of his life this year, and I've watched him really, really closely as well. He won the Indian Open to concede his 5th DP World title this year. And what I really like about his game is even when he's playing well, he always seems to be dropping shots, which will happen, particularly at this sort of track. But I think Marcel's going to be really unfazed by this. I've been really impressed with his game so far. He seems to be one that is able to go on these runs when he gets that putter rocking, and his stats have improved over the last 2 years as well. He's longer off the tee with more accuracy. He's hitting more greens in regulation, and his putting stats have never been better. He's got this chest putter now, and he's rolling them in from ever on these greens. 70-1, I think, is a really big discredit to Marcel's ability on the course. Number 3 is going to be Thorbjorn Olesen at 20 to 1. Always been a real big fan of his, and he actually owns probably one of the best swings out there on tour. Playing really well this year. He's won 7 DP World titles and managed to make it 7 by winning the Thailand Classic this year with rounds of 67, 67, 64 and 66, posting a score of 24 under. It was a seriously good display of golf, and he's backed that up by playing really good golf since then as well. He was 6th in the Indian Open, 3rd in the Soodle, and we just know he's a really class performer. He's great off the tee, and he's got a wicked short game as well. Brilliant. He's a really good stat as well. One that stands out to me here is that in his last 32 rounds, 27 of those have been in the 60s. You really can't leave him out this week. I think the course is going to suit him really nicely. Probably better than most as well. It's not a course that will suit too many players. And 20 to 1, okay, it's short enough in the betting. But Thorbjorn Olesen, I think, is the player to get hold of this week. I think he's going to be really high up the field this week. My 4th selection for the DP World Tour is going to be Rafa Cabrera Bello at 80 to 1. An absolute legend and a full-time winner on the DP World Tour as well. Not to mention that he's been a Ryder Cup player in the past as well. His last win was actually in the Spanish Open in 2021, but he seems to be back into some sort of decent form this year. And at a mentally challenging track, I don't think he's going to come in with too many expectations, which is going to really help him out as well. No course form to go on as well. Some do, and it has been a little bit ropey. So I think he's going to adapt really well her first time out at this course. 2 DP World Tour top 10s this year. His last event was actually in the Italian Open as well, where he played pretty decent. And he's had a few weeks break since then, so he's going to come here fresh. And I think it might determine how he plays this. I think what might determine how he plays well this week is the opening round. You're going to need a little bit of consistency here. This track's actually going to be right up his street, but with no expectations. He's been playing quite steady, comes here quite fresh. A good start to the week, and I think Rafa Cabrera is going to be away. 80 to 1, I think he's going to go under the radar a little bit here. Is going to have a pretty decent chance for the place money. And then my final selection for the DP World Tour is going to be Julian Brunton, the 50 to 1 shot from France. He's a second season player on tour, and he's starting to look like he could be a player that's going to get one of these wins under his belt sooner or later as well. He played in this last year and he finished in a tie for 34th, but he started with a 69, and I think with the experience under his belt this time out, he's going to do much better on his second season on tour. He's 5th in the Dubai Desert, which is a really big performance. He was then 7th in the Kenyan. He's just about starting to come good. And he's played really well in Germany when he was on the Challenge Tour as well. I would have liked a little bit bigger than 50 to 1 for Julian Brunton, but I fancy his credentials this week and I can't let the price put me off. He is my 5th selection. Now moving on to the PGA Tour, where we have the Memorial Tournament at Muirfield Village Golf Club. A very decent golf course this. 6,875 yards. And we've got the 3 big guns for this one as well. Jon Rahm, Scotty Scheffler and McIlroy all come for this event. So you definitely need one player that's going to be able to contest with them at their very best form. And my number 1 selection, albeit short in the betting, is Patrick Cantlay, Mr. Slow at 9 to 1. Way shorter than I'd like, and not as big as, and way shorter as well than I'd usually put up for these sort of events. But he was the winner in 2021. He was 3rd in this last year as well. And he's been playing some very good golf again this year. He's very well suited to this course. He's got that nice soft draw. And even though he can be a little bit tedious to watch, I can't let that put me off. His game has really been built for this track. He's the 9 to 1 shot for this. And I do think he's going to have a very good chance. So 9 to 1, as I said, way too short for what I'd usually put up. But I think he's going to have a really good chance. You need at least one player that you can think can contest with either Jon Rahm, Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy if they hit top form this week too. So Patrick Cantlay is going to be selection number 1. My second selection is going to be Hideki Matsuyama at 28 to 1. He is a little bit of a regular player of mine, a Japanese superstar. He won a major as well under his belt, and he's starting to come to the boil a little bit lately. I have mentioned that a few times this season, but he really is close to top form. Another player that I've been watching really closely this year. He was 5th at the Players, and then in his next 5 events, he finished in the top 30 without necessarily playing his best golf. And to me, that is a sign of a really good golfer as well. 15th in the 15 under at the Byron Nelson. I think players that played well there are going to have a really good chance again this year. Not too dissimilar, and it's just going to be a real class event. 10 places available, 28 to 1. Whilst Hideki Matsuyama starts to come into form, I think you've got to take advantage of that. And then my third and final player for the PGA Tour is going to be Sahith Theegala at 40 to 1. A huge improver on tour, and he's now actually managed to break into the top 30 of the world. He did struggle last year, but he's been much improved for the experience, like Julian Brunton on the DP World Tour. And he's had some really impressive top 10 finishes this season as well. It's not going to be too long before he breaks his first maiden win on tour. He was actually 9th in the Masters this year as well on his very first start in the major, and I bet you won't find many players that have ever had that feat first time out as well. He played in this event last year. He struck the ball really well for all 4 rounds and actually managed to finish in the tie for 5th. So he comes into this event playing really good golf. Tied for 5th last year, and I think that he's actually going to break his maiden maybe this year at 40 to 1. I think he's worth the squeak, adding that to Patrick Cantlay, Hideki Matsuyama. I think Sahith Theegala makes it a really good trio of selections for the PGA Tour. And that will cap off the selections for this week. But just to recap for you, on the DP World Tour, we have got Alexander Bjork at 22 to 1. Marcel Siem at 70 to 1. Thorbjorn Olesen at 20 to 1. Rafa Cabrera Bello at 80 to 1. And then Julian Brunton at 50s. Then on the PGA Tour, the Memorial Tournament, are going to go Patrick Cantlay for selection number 1. Hideki Matsuyama at 28 to 1 for selection number 2. And then Sahith Theegala at 40 to 1 for selection number 3. Now, all of the prices that I put up and the places generally come from Ladbrokes and Corals. You can get 10 places on the PGA Tour and then 7 places on the DP World Tour. And these prices obviously match those offers too. I will put some sign-up offers for those 2 bookies in the description below if you'd like to take advantage of those there as well. But just as well, before I shoot off, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and comment below with your winner of this week's event. We're trying to make it 5 wins on the bounce. Come over and join the group chat. I give away all sorts of freebies on a weekly basis there, and I also give some more in-depth analysis there too, as well as my column over on betting.co.uk. Look, everyone, thank you for tuning in once again. I really do appreciate the views. Please do hit that subscribe button, click the thumbs up if you're liking the content, and hopefully we can make it 5 wins on the bounce. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Bye for now.